There we go. The recording has started. Like to welcome everybody. I'm glad to see that we have as many on for this. This is a bit of a speciality that doesn't involve any track people necessarily. And I'm very happy to have you here, and I do hope you enjoy what it is that we have for this. What the plan will be is I'm going to ask you to play along at a certain point, and I would like you to have pencil and paper at the ready. There are going to be 5 videos of Javelin's landing, 6 totally, but 5 for which I would like you to write down whether you think the javelin has landed flat or not. If you think it has landed flat, then you're going to want to put a nice Y for yes. If you think it's fair, then an N, of course, for no. And I'm going to play these silently and then go back and look at them with sound on. And you change your mind if you wish, as as you would like. But the reason for asking you to write these down is because then you will commit to an answer. And one of the things that we expect people to do when they're judging flats is commit to a decision about whether you've just seen is flat or not. That's a very important component of that. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to share a screen with everybody, and I'm going to start this from the very beginning. So, what is a javelin flat is something that we will be covering. How they are measured is another thing. We will look at uh, the rule book that has control over this, and then reasons for not allowing them. That is, what possibly is a sensible reason for not allowing jab flats. Um, there might be some discussion about this. I certainly hope there will be. Okay, so definition of a flat. I don't think you're going to find too much argument with this. We know that flat means flat, that the entire shaft of the javelin has to hit simultaneously the surface of the ground, the entire surface of the javelin. The only thing that would not possibly hit the ground along with the rest of the shaft is where it tapers to the tail and then the real sharp angle from the head to the tip. Other than that, it's the entire length of that shaft. And then a group of throwers most likely to throw javelins that will appear to have landed flat. Um, we'll talk about these as we go on. So, NCAA book has very interesting wording that differs from the other books. And in the use of the word irrefutable, uh, I think that's a grand word to use in all of the rules. But where it makes obvious, irrefutable first contact with the ground other than with the metal head. Here in USAT, we see metal head uh, uh, is used. Um, the youth rule for USATF is the same as the high school rule, which, as we know, who have worked this event, allows for the jav to be make contact with the ground in any manner. But going up to the two that, or the three books that don't allow it, um, there's virtually no difference in the rules except this very useful adjective here, irrefutable, first contact. Um, Irrefutable beyond any kind of doubt, beyond any kind of question in one's mind. So you are welcome to unmute yourself. Those uh, of you who have done high school and USATF youth, you know that a flat javelin is allowed, and that includes all the age groups in USATF youth. So 17, 18-year-olds, it applies to them. So where do we measure a flat throw from? Front, middle, or back of the grip? Somebody offer an answer.
I'm going to hazard a guess. I'm going to say front of the grip.
What's your reasoning for that?
Because it's probably the first point, or I'm kind of just guessing. It's probably easier for me to see the front than the back. That's the only real reason when that happens.
Yeah, now you're mentioning something that I think that's pretty interesting, which is the ability to see the first point of contact.
Right.
Uh, when a javelin lands flat in the jurisdictions where it's allowed, it can be very difficult to track that. Um, Anybody else have an idea of
Yeah,
where you? Yes,
yeah.
go ahead.
I'll also hazard a guess at the very back, at the back of the grip that's closest to the place where it's thrown. Like sort of working on long jump logic,
And what is that?
meaning that everything is measured from the very back of the throw of the throw or the mark left as opposed to the front or the middle or that sort of thing. It's the place closest to the board.
So what you're talking about is the clearance of the body part in the horizontal jumps, whether it's a foot or it's the rear end or a hand. It's the clearance of that entire particular part.
Yeah.
And anybody else?
What the rule said that you had in the previous slide, closest point of contact to
Closest point of
the
contact,
runway,
and
which
that's
is really the back of the grip,
back of the grip.
because the grip sits below the rest of the javelin.
And what Bob has brought up is correct. So, and well observed. So the back of the grip is the point at which you will measure. So it's like consider this a discus or a shot put. Now, you have to measure from the trailing edge of the impact of a shot and of what you can determine to be of the discus, which might, of all the implements, be the hardest one to accurately determine.
Hey,
But the back,
hey,
back of
Scott.
the grip. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Mike. There's a situation that we've run into, particularly in the youth group, where the javelin actually lands with the point toward you. It flips around in the air. In that particular case, I'm measuring from the front of the grip, which is the closer side to the release to the arc. That they don't always land with the point forward. They flip in the air and they land backwards.
Yeah, yeah. That would then become the back of the grip.
That's the back of the grip. So
Yeah. Interesting.
I always train people from the side of the grip, the closest to you, right? The closest to the arc line, the side of the grip closest to the arc line.
Yeah, that's a rarity, but it is something that has to be
What
done.
happens?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
All right. So positioning oneself to call flats. Imagine these to be officials out in the field. Which one or which ones would you say are in a position to be able to call flats?
I would say B and D
And why do you say that?
because you cannot see it if you're standing inside the sectors. It's best to stand outside the sector so you can get a good visual look at the Javelin.
Is there anybody who disagrees with that? Uh,
I would say I'd
that
like to
as
be closer
well.
to where it's landing. I'd probably sit in the sector, depending on, where the athletes are throwing, et cetera. Obviously, you need to stay out of the way of the path, but I like to be as close as possible to where the implement is landing.
In judging flats.
Yes, and in that case, also judging flats.
Okay. Well, uh, uh, the accepted wisdom is to be outside of the sector. Be outside of the sector. So
God bless you.
B and D are outside of the sector. And a little refinement to that is try to be as perpendicular to the landing of the javelin as possible. So if the javelin's coming along and lands here, D is more perpendicular to the landing of it than D is than B is. But try to be out of sector. There's a video coming up, and that gives a pretty good indication why that is a useful thing to do.
That's helpful. Or is that I assume that'd also be the case if you have one judge doing both the measuring and judging flats?
Oh, you know what? If you have one person doing that, hitting the correct mark takes priority over anything else. And I wouldn't even worry about flats if I were the only one out in the field judging. If it lands tail first, then you can't measure. If you're doing the NCAAs or USATF, but your first obligation is to get the distance.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
One other thing to mention on like taking the
Just a minute, just a minute. This is Bettina Huber. She retired head official at Hayward, who was on the javelin crew at the '86 Olympics.
96. Hello. Yeah, no, one thing I was going to mention regarding the B position there, that location is not cast in stone. You should be moving. So what one tip is during the warm-ups, watch who is throwing and what their throwing style tends to be. Who in that group tends to throw flat, and then move yourself accordingly along that line where you're in the best position to see that at that angle.
Very good point. Uh, uh, as Bettina says, these positions will shift, uh, need to shift as the requirements of the competition dictate.
Mhm.
All right. So the NCAA booklet, rule book, as far as I know, is the only one that actually addresses this. And I wish all of the books would do that. But as you can see, shall be positioned outside the sector, perpendicular with the landing and low enough to the ground to determine which part of the implement made contact with the ground. There's a very important part in this that we will be addressing quite shortly, and the person who had just spoken knows quite a bit about.
Mhm.
So, elevation from the ground does make a difference. Um, these are two figures in blue representing the elevation above the ground of the eyes, with a javelin coming in that has enough of a low angle to be of put you on high alert to judge if it's flat or not. So if you are lower to the ground, you are better able to see when the jab makes impact with the ground. And as the person who just got through speaking very clearly had said to her crew over the years, you let everybody know by doing that that you are in your game, you are on top of it. And in addition to being better able to see whether a throw is flat or not. The coaches and competitors are pretty nervous about this situation, and understandably so, because there have been quite a few calls over the years of flats that of javelins that aren't flat. It's a very difficult thing to do. There's a particular reason why it's called one of the most difficult things to call in track and field.
Scott?
Um, yes, Bob.
Yeah, on that line, I've had many discussion with coaches. The problem the coaches have in determining flats is where they're standing. They're back at the runway in most cases. They are not in the position that we need to be in, as you've indicated here, perpendicular to the landing of the javelin. And so they do not have a good view. And I've had many discussion with a certain local coach named Duncan Atwood, who I don't think ever thinks anything is ever flat. But yeah, he's in the wrong position to see it. That's why we are where we are.
Yeah, Bob mentions Duncan Atwood. He was a gold medalist at the Pan Am Games and one of the better javelin throwers in the U.S. And he's developed the fin flyer. Uh, he hates the turbo jav, wants to get rid of that entirely. Very understandable. Interesting guy. But you make a good point, Bob. There's plenty of people who think that they've seen something and they've made a call. The only thing I want to emphasize here is that you help put coaches at ease when they feel that you are right on the job and that you're making, accurate calls.
Yeah, going down low to the ground will definitely help you not only to see the angle, but to cut drastically down on any protests or anything because they are seeing you go down with the javelin. And never assume that, when on the release of the javelin initially, it might look like, hey, point up and everything looks like it's just gonna curve back down, but not necessarily. A lot of times you don't know into the absolute last second how it's going to land. And if you're standing upright, you don't have the angle on that. You got to get down. You got to get low.
I think you mentioned something that could go under the category of preconceived idea of
Mhm.
what's going to happen with the javelin.
Never assume.
Yes, yeah. All right, so here's where I want you to have your pencil and paper, and you can disregard the stuff about 8 by 5 by 11. I've changed my mind what I was doing here. I wanted you to show on the screen whether you think something is fair or not. But what we'll do is we'll go all the way through the 5 videos silently and then with sound on, and then we'll go back over them to discuss what it is that we see. Okay? So here we go. This is the first one. And let me get this out of here. Make sure the sound is off. Oh, geez. Okay. So you make up your mind what it is you are seeing. This, by the way, is Junior Olympics that was held at Mount Hood Community College. And I saw Miklos Alekna's father throw discus up here. I think it was just a little bit after the Prefontaine. It was quite a treat to watch that. All right, so you've seen number one. Here we go with number two. Mr. Al Alcalde is right there in the gloves. I assume you recognize yourself, Al. Okay, here's three. The jab is up here in the air. And one more. Oops. Okay, here's number four. And one more time. And our last one. And let's go one more. Okay. Let's see if you keep the same decision that you made or that you have changed your mind. One more. Okay. Oops, make sure this is on. All right. One more. All right, number three. One more. Number four. And number five. Uh, I need to get something out of the way. There we go. Was there any difference between the muted and non-muted versions for you? Go ahead and unmute and just speak up.
None of them seem to be unmuted.
Couldn't hear any sound on any of them.
You couldn't hear sound on any of them?
Right.
Same here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's correct.
It's not, that's not the same with what I have. I have a mute button and unmute. Okay, well, that's interesting. I'm sorry about that. Um,
Well, Scott, I think when you share the screen, there's an option to have sound on it, but you probably have to X out and then come in.
oh, well, let's just go on and just do
Okay.
this. Um, so what do you think about number one here? Flat or not? Let's just hear, unmute yourselves and just say yes or no.
Flat. Yes.
Yes.
I had no.
Flat.
Flat.
Yes.
Flat.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, flat.
I'd say no on that. There was
say
a
no.
point, but it's
Yeah,
not
not
a very
flat.
good angle.
Not flat.
Not
I said
flat.
no.
Not
Not
flat.
flat.
Do you test a
Well, it sounds as though we have about half and half
Yeah.
of people. Okay, so now what we're going to do is watch it slow motion.
Uh-huh.
I thought it.
All right, here it's coming in. And you notice, look at the tip.
It hits first.
Not a flat.
You'll see the
Yeah.
tip now?
Yep.
You see that?
Yep.
You
Not a
notice how
flat.
the tip is trending down.
I said no.
Yep. And I would say that is correct. The tip is trending down.
Right. It was just pitching just a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hard to see though.
Not
Hard.
Well, on the
Hard.
video, it's hard.
Yep.
What's really funny about these throws, it was during warm-up throws, and out there at Mount Hood Community College during this meet, they hadn't mowed the lawn for a while.
Aha.
Yeah, you're right. It was pretty lousy conditions for that. I want you to look at how it bounces.
That was kind of key for me in that if it bounces flat, it will tend to skid forward flat. I saw that in a couple other videos, but that thing tended to want to kind of pitch up a little bit.
That's a very good point. If it lands with the tip first, that's going to cause the tail to be driven down into the ground, and that will tend to raise the tip of the javelin upon exit from the ground.
Scott, my problem with all five of these, number three is not as bad. When I'm judging flats, I'm watching the javelin from the time it leaves the thrower's hand, and I'm watching the tip to see what it does.
Yeah.
You made the point here, number one, that the tip is tending down. I will see that as I'm watching, but I'm watching the whole flight, not just the landing.
Yeah, a couple things that have come out from your comments. One, pay attention during warm-ups. It just drives me nuts when I see officials who are just passing time and not paying attention during warm-ups. And the other is to watch the tip of the javelin. Pay attention to what's going on with the thing. Watch it throughout its entire flight so you can detect a trending of the tip in a downward direction. All
And
right.
this is Randy real quick. It's really
Yeah.
funny out there. Obviously you want to watch the full flight anyway, just for your own safety. But out there at Mount Hood, I was out there a couple weeks earlier for a small college meet, and the winds out there were playing games and to where they were coming down like you're sure it was going to be a good throw, and they would just go flat. They would just at the last, just a few feet from the ground, they would just basically like landing a spaceship. They would just suddenly go flat.
Yeah.
It really made it awkward when, like, getting down the ground. You would, being on the side, like where I'm standing there, right in that picture, you could just see them coming down nice and neat, and then just suddenly go flat. Whether the wind let up or what exactly happened, you really had to watch what was going on the whole flight.
Well, that's an interesting point
You
that
get
Randy
that
brings up.
with tailwinds especially. We have meets at University of Puget Sound that occasionally will get a north wind and they're throwing to the south. And that north wind will mess them up every time.
Hmm. Hence the importance of watching the entire flight like a hawk. Yeah, Randy's right in the middle of the screen here. Uh, so you look just like your picture, Randy. There you go.
Like
All right, so here we go. So watch the head. Look at how pronounced it is.
that's a flat.
Definitely tail. Yeah, flat.
Flat.
That one hit by
Flat.
on tail first.
Flat.
And then look at what happens to the javelin.
Bounces straight up.
Tail, and then, well, it bounces the head quickly down. So there's point of impact. All right, so we have the first one was not flat. This one is flat, or not flat, but it's not allowed. Tail first. All right, is this allowed in a masters competition?
No.
What rules do the masters follow?
USATF.
Yeah, USATF open rules.
I would say it is allowed.
Well, I wish it were, but it's not so far. Perhaps USATF will change their the rule and allow this masters the same as for youth. Because you know how it is when you have masters competitors. They're looking to have a javelin. Usually don't have their own, and they're just hoping to get a good throw in. It almost seems cruel and unusual punishment to not allow certain throws. That's just my opinion. Uh, okay, 3. Let's see what happens here. All right, look at how pronounced the flight is. See the head. Watch the head. What's it doing now?
Going down.
Pitching down.
Yep, look at it there. All right.
It's not
See
a
it right
flat.
there against the white line. Yep.
Yeah, it's not a flat.
If you gave yourselves no, it's not a flat ruling, pat yourselves on the back. All right, number 4. You see the jab coming in. You see the head. You see the head. You see the head.
Not a flat.
You say it's not a flat.
Not a flat.
How many people think it's a flat?
Hard to tell in a thick grass.
I do.
Grass.
This one was the
Yeah.
hardest one for me.
Stepping down at the end.
How did you rule it?
I said it is a flat because once it bounces up, it really didn't change attitude. It just kind of pitched forward. This is really close for me.
It is
I agree with that. It's the same for me.
very close. Very close. I don't think you'll get much squawking from people if you call this one flat.
See, the problem is when we're in the field, we don't have the
But it's a
benefit
flat.
of slow motion.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I mean, this reminds me of race walking when you're calling people uh, for improper posture, and they say it's what appears to the naked eye.
Yeah.
To the naked eye, it looked like a flat to me, but when you slow it down, it's not a flat. But we don't have that when we're in the field, when we're officiating, we can't see that like that.
I appreciate that, but your comment that when it slowed down, you're unable to make up your mind one way or another would indicate how difficult that particular throw is to rule upon at normal speed. The reason why I think the slow-mo here is very useful is that it can either confirm a feeling that you had or not. And it's useful to keep this sort of thing in mind for those times when we have to go out and make a decision, boom, on the fly, just like that.
I mean, when I saw it in real time, I said it was not a flat. And even on the slow motion, I think it probably is, but it's one of those areas where give the athlete the benefit of the doubt because it is so close.
That's it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you look at it and you think, oh, that's what goes through my mind if I'm not sure. Oh, and whenever that happens, I just rule
Fair.
in favor of the athlete.
Fair.
If I see something, I say, yep, yep. And it tells me that that's flat, then I'll go ahead and make the ruling. So here it is in real time.
Yeah, Scott, I called it a flat first, but after watching the slow mo, I changed my no flat.
That's interesting.
decision.
So I would call that a point, not a flat on my end. And also keep in mind the grass length should not matter in this. You could have different types of fields. You got to look at where the ground might be. You can't go off the length of the grass.
And also, how flat is the field itself?
That's difficult. That's difficult to do, though. Don't you think, Bettina?
Well, and also this angle, all these, it's too high up to make an accurate call. You're standing upright. This vantage point looking at these, you should be lower down on these close ones.
Well, wishes could be horses there, Bettina. We're just happy to have the
Yeah.
these. All right. So here we go.
But I'm just saying this is an example of where you can't see it as well if you are standing upright.
Yep, good point. All right, so here we go. See the jav? The blue jav? This one in slow-mo just gets eaten up. There it is above the ground, then, oh, it's gone. A little bit, you can see a little bit. What about this one?
Flat.
Not flat.
Not flat.
Not
You
flat.
can actually see it cut the ground.
Not flat.
Not flat.
Not flat.
Not flat. I said that was flat. I'm still
Good.
Yeah.
Now, all of these ones could be have been ruled flat by officials. Every single one of these has been ruled flat, and some of them are going to get quite a bit of squawking by coaches, and some aren't. Last one is, which of the 2, 4, and 5 is the most questionable? The more questionable.
Have to see 4 again.
Or
It's a 4.
Four is.
Let's see.
Yeah, no, 4 is
Four's
fair.
tricky.
That's a fair throw.
5.
Yeah, 4 is a little trickier.
Is this one harder to call?
I think
It is.
I think so.
In my mind, it was.
Other than number two, I wouldn't call any of these flat in the competition.
Yep.
Other
Seeing it
than
in the video is one thing.
other than number two?
I
Yeah.
believe it was number two, right? That was the one
Mhm.
that was pretty
Yeah,
obvious.
number two looked like a tail strike in high
Oh,
school.
yeah.
Other than
I
that,
see
none
what
of
you-
these would I call flat in a competition. Seeing it in the video is one thing, but they're too close to call. And if you think it was flat, it wasn't flat.
That's exactly right.
Right. Yep. A fair point to make.
I'm
If
going to
you-
play devil's advocate a little bit and just say the more we watch these, the better we're getting at this too. And yes, it's, you can't, they're hard to call in real time instantly, but we've watched them like 100 times now. And
Indeed.
we're all better at it already. So this is great.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's right, Joey. You see six through 10, and we're back to square one.
But
Yeah.
number five, the camera is not perpendicular to where it lands.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was yeah, the cameraman was yours truly.
I was gonna say, what were you doing, Scott? Come on.
I was just trying to get these so that I could use them in the very merry month of October with you all. All right, this was taken at a D3 championship this last year, and it's the second of three throws. He started recording it because of going on high alert due to a call on his thrower. This is his thrower here. The throw was ruled flat. And so here's what he took. I'd hoped he would send the regular. You see where the person is calling.
Yeah. It's not in position. That's not flat.
Do you notice that he's gone down with the throw, though?
Yeah, but
That's not down.
So you say that's not down.
He's not down.
yeah, I mean,
It looks like
the
it's
elevation there is
tilted down.
He needs to be down, farther down.
Farther down. Hands not held behind the back, probably more out front to counterbalance, getting down farther, and certainly to be outside of sector.
Yes.
Yeah. Fortunately, the gal got a throw,
Fair.
a fair throw for the third one, but the first two were ruled foul, and they, according to this coach, who's pretty reliable source, that they were basically the same thing in regard to how they hit the ground. But I don't know about you all, but it seems to me that it would be more reasonable to have the rule books allow for jabs to hit no matter what and just measure where they hit. It's the only implement like this. This rule does not apply to discus, hammer, shot. There's no way it can apply to shot, of course. And that's not the only thing that's different. In javelin approach on the runway, if you step on the runway lines that are 4 meters apart, that define the runway, you fouled your throw. In long jump, triple jump, if you step on the line of the runway, there's no problem. It's not a foul. So it seems to me those two rules could go the way of the dodo.
Guy, I'll tell you the reasoning on that foul line, stepping on the sidelines. The Jav runway is essentially a circle, as in the other throws, only it's been modified a bit to make the shape of the runway, and so it's the same as hitting the side of the discus ring. Essentially, the reasoning behind that particular rule.
So stepping on the ring, outside the ring is a foul in discus. So therefore, stepping on the line from the runway is a foul.
Yep. That's the reasoning behind the rule.
That is also why they put in the 4 meter mark if you're going backwards after you throw to say, hey, you have now accepted the throw because you've gone past what would have been equivalent to a circle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's going out the back of the circle. As long as you go out the runway, though, on the lines extended, that is a fair throw. So going back 4 meters, that the only reason that was put in there is just to save time. Well, it could be 5 meters, it could be 6 meters, it could even make it 3 meters, but they made it 4 because that's the width of the runway, was my assumption. But even though that's true, Bob, I still don't understand why that would necessarily be a foul, because you're not going to be throwing from anything other than the runway.
I understand, Scott. I just saying that's what the information I got from George Kleeman some years ago about why the rule existed and why it was different than the long jump. I don't care personally. I just
Well, I do care if it makes a person foul a throw. If
I,
it,
I don't care if the rule's changed or not.
yeah,
I'm saying,
It's 4 meters.
the rule,
Yeah, it's a
follow the rule, whatever it is.
4 meters wide. That's a little different than a long jump runway. Okay, so they're
Oh yeah.
yeah. I mean, we've had situations where we were running on grass runways and it was all mud, and we actually let them run on that line because we had to. But
okay, so what do you do? What do you do with the old type of runway where you have a meter wide strip that then widens to 4 meters, about what, 12 meters back from the arc? So what do you do about that? If the rule applies, it applies for the entire runway, and your runway is only a meter wide. So and there's plenty of those. That's what Mount Hood has. I don't know if they've changed it or not. They got new surfacing and such. I hope they put in a 4 meter wide runway for its extent. All right, well, let's go to some conclusions. Pay attention during warm-ups. It has been mentioned, and it can't be emphasized enough. I one time was at a collegiate league championship in which the officials were laughing and gassing, not paying any attention whatsoever to what was going on during warm-ups. I have no idea what was going through those people's minds, but this is crucial to not only monitor warm-ups, but to pay attention to what people are doing. As Bettina was mentioning, you want to adjust your distance from the runway based upon the proficiency of the thrower. We've had multiple people talk about not making any assumptions about how the javelin will land. That's crucial. Watch it to the very end. As Randy pointed out, you can have something interfere at the very end to cause an entire reversal of what ordinarily would have been the case.
Well, if you're watching it during the warm-up, you have an idea already of the throwers, how far they're going to throw, and the way they're throwing. And that gives you a good idea on the way the javelin is going to go.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. Watch for the trending of the downward movement in the last phase of the flight. And then, as has been mentioned, you move with the javelin if there's any possibility of a flatter landing. And then make your call with confidence. However you call it, make it with confidence. In a last national meet I worked, we were using hand up with palm out toward the runway for a fair throw and palm down away from the runway so that the back of the hand is seen for a foul throw. What other conclusions could we make, if any?
You just like one of the guys said, if you think you saw it, you didn't see it.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, it needs to be in there also. Good point.
I'd like to add that sometimes, or most of the time, a flat will make a distinctive clang sound.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's different than a regular Javelin landing tip or tail. It sounds like it is coming down. I don't use that as the only guide, my eyesight, but that also is one of the things that coaches listen for also. So if you do hear it kind of sounds like it's flat, most of the times it has been a flat.
Yeah, I would characterize that sound as kind of a sprung. It's a resonant sound.
If I might cut in, Scott,
of course,
on that very point, I recall many years ago sitting at a table listening to Chester Bradley from Texas tell the story about a javelin that landed and the sound that it made. And he said, it sounds just like a bull fiddle. And if anyone knows Chester Bradley, he's one of the great storytellers of all time. And I remember that to this day. That's
that resonant sound, right, John?
Yes.
That's resonant sound.
Yes.
Good bow fiddle. That's great. Yeah.
And short
on, John.
better judges.
Dee, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I would say that when you have people that are short like me, we don't have to work as hard to call flats.
That's not fair.
Are you 3 feet tall?
I'm 4'10".
Oh, all right. Yeah. Well,
I was actually thinking the same thing. Us short people have an advantage, and we should probably be named to that position.
Okay, Joey, consider yourself named. There we go.
I have a general question.
Of course.
Under ideal circumstances, how many people should be calling flats? I know you had the B and D, 2 of them, but if you had extra officials, should you use 4 or 6?
No.
Or just 1? What's
cooks.
ideal?
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
2.
Let's pass this around. Bettina, you start off.
With which part?
How many people to call flats?
One.
Really, one. Otherwise, you have too many people. You definitely don't want to come across to the coaches and anybody else that you don't know what you're doing. Here, one person makes a call and calls it flat, and somebody else is supposedly making that call and calls something else. It's like, oh man, have you got yourself in trouble? Yeah, no, it's best to be efficient, make the call, and again, if you're not sure, it goes to the athlete.
Not only that, you have the same view of every landing. You're looking from the same side of the sector. You get the same view for everybody.
Consistency.
So, so also limiting the variables.
Yeah, Nike outdoor NASCAR last
if
year.
there's only one person calling, then the coaches only have one person to yell at.
Well, and then the vantage point too is if you have, like, say at Hayward Field, Eugene, the sun sets a certain way, and for the most part, if you're on, looking out in the sector on the left-hand side, you're calling flats there, you're going to have shade. The sun's going to be at your back, and you're going to be able to see better that way, as opposed to if the person across from the sector who's facing the sun, if they're making the call, yeah, you may not get the same thing. And they don't have as good of a view.
If you have someone moaning and groaning at you, refer to the referee.
Very true.
This last June down in Hayward, there was only 2 of us available out in the field with the prisms. So we, if the javelin was coming closest to the person that would get the best mark, they would take the mark, and the other person would be looking for the flats.
Well, that's a nice arrangement. But you have a situation where a person is out in the sector, but you take it as you can.
Yeah, we were both trying to play from the outside in, so we'd have that range.
If
Hey,
you
Scott.
watch,
Hey, Scott, I had
if you're watching the warm-up very carefully and very closely, you have an idea of where it's going to land, and you can position yourself in a position whereby you'll be able to make a more accurate decision on a flat or a non-flat. Because if you know the way the thrower is going to throw, and if you know where it's going to land, you can position yourself accordingly to follow it.
Yeah, what you're talking about is anticipation. And when you're out in the field marking, and if you've been paying attention to the people, their distances and such, then you can anticipate in a positive sense very much. We want to minimize anticipating how the javelin is going to land if that leads us into preconceived notions of how it will land. So, all right, we are just about done here. I'm going to put this up. Contact information for me is right there. This is recorded, and I will send it to CERT chairs for distribution to their officials. However, if you would like to receive it earlier, that is this evening, and make sure that you receive it, send me an email request there. And also any comments that you have, some things that you would like me to think about, to improve upon, to consider, please send those to me, okay? All right, I'm going to stop the screen share now. And so
Thank you,
do we
Scott.
have, yes, go ahead.
I was just saying, thank you, Scott.
You're very, very welcome. It's a pleasure.
Yes, thank you as well. One question out of curiosity, is flat calls protestable, and how is that handled? So like if you're in a really big meet and you have a flat call, do you just not measure, or do you measure it as a provisional against a potential protest?
Get a black mark.
Always measure.
Always measure.
Always measure. Now, in the NCAA, there's a thing called a challenge that was put in this year. And that is a window from the point of the person being called up to the next person being called up, in which a protest may be made. And so you always want to get into the habit of marking and staying with the mark no matter what, even if it's not measured, staying with the mark no matter what, until things are resolved. We've had a national meet this year in which video was available, and the video was used on a couple protested calls, flat calls, and those calls were overturned on the basis of the video. Most meets do not have video. It's certainly nice, though, if there is something like that. But now, a question for you. Is private video allowed in any of the rule books?
No.
I don't believe so.
Protest.
No.
No.
Check USA track and field.
USA track and field now allows the referee to use any source available. And they say any source, and they do not specify that it has to be any official source. So
it could be a television from 500 miles away.
Yes, This is the National Chair of Rules, Dick Boyd, who just spoke. And so he's
believe the World Athletics also takes any available video.
yeah, and that is available, or that is the condition with the USATF rule book only. It's not allowed in NCAA competitions, and it's not allowed in NFHS, but who needs it? Because anything is allowed there. But that's a good question.
Scott, I have a quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is John from Louisiana. We talked a lot about positioning and, you know, of course, being lowered to the ground. No one mentioned, should we squat? Should we kneel? What's our thoughts on that?
Bettina, go ahead and take this one.
I knew that was coming. Oh yeah. You do whatever it takes. You know, if there's some close calls, I absolutely have been on my knees. I've been on my hip. I've gotten down so low, and I'm 5'11".
Sure.
So yeah, you do whatever you need to do, but get down. Do not be upright on
Great.
those ones.
Thank you. Good to hear. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Isn't that a hoot?
And who
Okay.
cares if you look silly? It doesn't matter. You got the call.
Yeah. You have not ever shied away from that, have you?
No.
One more thing to do.
Can I?
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you. I still spend more time throwing than I do officiating. And from a thrower's perspective, I just want to say thank you, Scott, for facilitating this because, you know, I'm an official and I still compete. And I'm just encouraged that there's a lot of attention to this. This was just great information. I hope the people that were on this take it back and share it with their teams. So just I wanted to express my appreciation.
Well, you're very, very welcome. It's a pleasure. I'm so happy that you are on. This is a wonderful opportunity, isn't it, to be able to go on Zoom and share these. Take a screenshot, if you will. You do that by hitting Shift Command 4 on your keypad, or you can take a phone picture of this. Training sessions coming up. Our next one is going to be with George Adams and Kara Winger with their athletic forum. That's going to be on the 29th of October. It's going to be a very interesting one. They had tried that last year and we're having a little bit of difficulty with procuring some people to participate, but that's not going to be an issue this year. We've moved to the national meeting because I had gotten belated word that there were indeed going to be 2 slots available. So the referee scenarios and becoming World Athletic Certified will both be at the national meeting. You do have to be registered for it to participate in these. There's a Zoom price for those of you who are not attending the national meeting. That is $150 to attend the meeting by Zoom. We have EDM with some very wonderful individuals coming up. This will be on the 1st of December. That is during the national meeting, or just before the national meeting, excuse me. The meeting is on the 6th and 7th of December. Excuse me, 5th and 6th. And then we will have on December 11th, the Art of Javelin Implement Inspection with Ivars Ekströms. You will enjoy that very much. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording here. And thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Scott.
You're very welcome.
Thank you,
Look-
Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank
Thank you very
Scott.
much.
This was great.
Thank you,
Right.
Scott.
Thank you,
Scott.
Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Look for you on the rebound. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.